Good morning. Here we are back at the Samuel Shivers House. We were so intrigued by this location during the Salem County Historic House Tour that we decided to come back for the Arts in Bloom weekend. So let's see what's going on here today. Mr. Perry?
Hi, well thanks for coming by. Kind of quite unexpected today, and plus I think you brought a lot of rain. This is quite crazy. This is going to be an interesting day, interesting 2 days. I mean, it's only been raining for about 10 days now, I think so. But anyway, welcome to the Samuel Shivers House again, Arts in Bloom weekend. I'm the Gilder, an ancient art form going back some 3,700 to 4,000 years possibly. No one really knows. Became perfected, started out essentially as gilding of metals, and then it developed into a water-based art form for interior gilding. So very misunderstood in America. I've trained in Paris for 2 years. I've trained in Venice, Italy, and Florence, Italy. I'm a certified gilder in Italy and a certified gilder in France. But much misunderstood. Many of my colleagues here in the county have never heard of gilding, which is quite surprising to me. But nevertheless, maybe if we all watch the video, we'll know a little bit more by the end of this. Today we're going to, I'm just going to explain to you some of the tools of the trade, so to speak, some of the materials we use in gilding. Okay, on the table, my limited space here, and we have the gallery in the other room. But here's some gilding going back to the early part of the 18th century, some figural panel scenes from China, and these have gone under a restoration. And just notice some of the quartz sand that's been placed in the bottom. Actually, it's been shellac or gumlac has been put there, and it's just an added feature. But phenomenal carving, 24 karat gold. Was missing a lot. There's a lot of loss here. I've done the restoration. Primarily in the art form of gilding, I'm doing restoration and conservation work and very little new work. And even that conservation restoration work is very slim here in the States. My colleagues in Paris are full-time gilders, and they work 65, 70 hours a week. Let's see what we have here. We have some frames. These are frames that I've done as sample frames going back about 25, 30 years. And it just shows the possibility of carving, of gilding, of patinization. Okay, so we actually have 3 frames here we can just take a quick peek at. The large frame was a class project to get the certification. This frame is done in oak, and I'm sure, as everyone knows, this comprised about 12 carving tools, all by hand, and oak is the hardest wood that you can really carve. So it's carved by oak, and the entire process, and later on we'll talk about the process, but right down from the gesso to the bowl to the final laying of gold. So a very intricate frame. This is a copy of the Louis XV frame. In here, it's what we call skewings. This is excess gold, probably $100 in gold that was sitting on the floor. When you're done, if you so choose to, you can pick it up and use it to fill in, as the Americans call it, holidays where are missing pieces of gold as you're doing the gilding process. And here, as for years, I've been teaching gilding to my students around the country, and this is a sample frame. So in a typical week class, we take old wood. We actually put a sliding taper dovetail into all the corners. Really holds the miter well. There's nothing better. And this is a French design. And it's showing we start here with this very, very rough surface. So sorry, but the light is a bit bad in here. Again, for the rain, it's just not a lot of natural light coming in, and the Shivers House is really not electrified in this room except for the portrait of our commander, the only commander-in-chief that we've had. But other than that, this is about 21 stippled coats of gesso. It gets smoothed down by actually what is shark skin in the period. They would actually have boutiques or small stores, even in Philadelphia, but Paris, London, all the major metropolitan European cities, and they would sell what comes down to shark or stingray skin as sandpaper. They would have different grades. Young sharks and young stingrays were very fine, the equivalent of 220, 320 2000 grit sandpaper. Old sharks would have very rough surface, and this feels like the surface of a metal. So you stipple it on, you let it dry, you smooth it, and then over here you have a series of yellow or ochre and red clays. Typically when there's carving involved, you're putting the yellow clay in the background in the nooks and crannies, because if you miss the gilding, which you could continue to waste so much gold by trying to force it into these nooks and crannies, you get some of the gold clay in there, then you won't see the missing gold so much, so you're saving yourself money. The red clay tends to be a glaze over the high spots of the carving, and it tends to telescope through and give some three-dimensionality even more than you get with the normal carving. And just as I mentioned, these colors are very specific to countries. You have an Italian ochre, you have different regions in Italy that have different ochre colors and different red colors. France, Japan today, Germany today, UK. So you can actually locate where an antique is from the color of bowl or clay, liquid clay that was used. Over here you can see we're moving around the frame. This is just a kind of a telltale experimental or educational frame. The gold has been laid, it's a little bit rough. Here it's been burnished. We take an agate or dog's tooth, which is literally a dog or wolf's tooth, and put into a tool, and we can scrape over the surface and literally smooth down certain areas. We can burnish it up, make the sheen, raise the sheen up more. So some of the raised areas, carved areas, are always burnished and raised. And down at the bottom of the frame, we're showing the kind of patinization, the way we make the frame look old. And there's a whole various of tricks and secrets and concoctions that I've learned by studying in France and Italy, and actually on my own also. So various ways you can make a frame look old. And just remember, when this frame has been on the wall for 200 years, if it was, most of the contamination, environmental contamination, is down here because it's all falling down. It's on this lower portion, not on the sides and on the top. So if you found a frame with contamination on all four sides and nothing on the top, it's a fake frame. So just a way to denote or connote that. Okay. And again, here's just another carving. This was used as a sample of gilding for students. I'm using some copper leaf here. And as we mentioned in a past video, I'm going to be actually coppering an 18th century tub, which was copied in the period from France. And it's in my studio right now, so the copper has arrived. But you're just showing this has a sizing put on, and the gold has been laid here, okay? And the whole process of water gilding, which we just spoke about here, has been taken care of, but again, used as a sample on how to manipulate and use gold. And this is called a gilder's cushion. This is essentially, you hold it with your thumb, a gilder's knife, and what you do is you take the leaves of the gold, one whole book of gold, 25 leaves, 3.5 by 3.5 inches, about 0.0 microns of thickness, okay? They're all that, how thin they are. And it gets dropped. 25 leaves in here. You mix, you flatten one out, you come back, you cut it, you lift it up with your gilder's tip or your gilder's brush, and you lay the gold. Piece by piece, you walk your way around the frame. But this is a gilder's cushion. You have a fence, in essence, around a parchment, a very heavy parchment, so there's no airflow. Airflow could blow all 25 leaves. Today, a book of gold is over $100. So if somebody walks through my door, if my apprentice comes through my door, and unauthorized, knowing there's gilding in process, he's fired, he's done. And I've seen that happen in Paris many times. Now here's the gold. This is Italian gold from Florence. One of my favorite golds is a double gold. It's Manette. Again, 0.1 microns thick. And this comes from a small round ingot, the size, half the size of a dime, and it's pounded by hand on a large stone with a mallet. And the gilders only have a lifespan, a working lifespan, approximately 2.5 to 3 years per hand, and their wrists are totally shot. But then they're retired by the Italian government and the French government, the only two places in the world that gold is really hammered anymore, and they're considered national patrimonie heroes because they did this for the cause of history for their country. And this is the gilder's tip we talked about, is picking up a piece of gold and placing it down. And sometimes we need to get some of the oils from the skin, so a lot of the gilders go to their forehead with it. Plus they get an electrostatic charge. They pick the piece of gold up, they put it down. Pick it up, put it down. Okay? And just in general, these items here are a type of mops, which are nothing more than brushes, which we add the different solvents around the gilding process. We have different types of agates, which we've talked about. And one last thing that is very indigenous to France, and it's really invented there, it's called reparoo, or recutting en français, reparoo. This is something I was drawing, and I need to cut this out and start to sculpt this before I start to gild it. This will get different colors of gilding, actually. It's maybe very difficult to see. But this is achieved using these kind of cutting tools. So these are specifically designed gesso cutting tools, and these are meant to pull on the cut, on the pull, like this. A scraping motion. So all this thing has been recut. There's 20 different tools. The French invented these. The Italians have adapted something. They don't do a lot of recutting, but the French are masters at it. And I spent the most part of 6 months just training on recutting. Sounds like a lot of time, but it's not. A lot of the French students actually will train for 3 to 4 years just on recutting alone. But I think that's it for what we're showing here today. And please stop by again. Thanks.